From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Well, hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen, and proudly welcoming you into this Wednesday's edition of For the People for November the 1st, 2017. Here we go again. Allah Akbar in New York. And it's been very interesting listening to the news reports from Mario Cuomo and what's the governor, and then de Blasio, two leftist liberals. And I am sure that they are sorry that Americans are dead, Argentinians are dead, Belgians are dead, people are dead. But there's a reason why some of this is happening. And one of them is the visa program. The same visa program, as a matter of fact, that Chuck Schumer gladly supported in the 1990s. That's allowed these idiots a free ride into our country. Now, I know that this guy was under surveillance. Our terrorist suspect, Sayfullo Saipov, got the standard jihadi beard, 29 years old, and the guy apparently had a residence not too far from where we do the show here in Tampa, Florida. But most recently, he's been staying in New Jersey. But did the unthinkable yesterday on the streets of Manhattan. Mowed down cyclists that were just enjoying themselves. And 5 of the dead were from Argentina, sadly. And they all lost their lives, and they were celebrating their 30th high school reunion together. And this is how they ended up dead. Saipov drove his pickup truck, if you didn't hear the news, that he rented from a Home Depot just an hour before he did this horrific crime into a crowded bike path and crashed into a school bus. 8 people died in the attack, and many injured, including children. And then, excitingly, he exited his vehicle and yelled, Allah Akbar. Sound familiar? And waved what authorities believe was an airsoft or BB gun or something of the sort before being shot twice by police and arrested. He was shot in the abdomen and also the leg. This is not a surprise, probably to anybody, sadly, listening to the broadcast. It's New York City. It's a target. We know since 9/11 that this is what ISIS wants to do. We do know that it was ISIS-inspired. That's their magazine, by the way. It's an inspiration to those would-be terrorists. And this is part of a network of jihadis that very much want to strike fear into the hearts of Americans and to people all over the world, because they have one clear mission, and that is that they want to establish their caliphate. And since they really don't have a state, we've been chasing them all over the Middle East, here, there, and everywhere. These terrorists are going to be using any means possible to get people riled up, inspired through video games, through their magazine and propaganda on the internet. And I've said all along that we have to find the smartest brains Take them away from Apple, take them away from Microsoft, but shut down the pathways. Shut down the pathways for these terrorists not to be able to propagate through the internet here in America, of all places. Just stop it, because this is how they're getting through to these people. And the other place, obviously, is the mosques, which we don't want to label all Muslims extremists. We don't want to label. I get that. But somebody's radicalizing them. Some message is being taught. And folks, I've read the Quran. I've been explained the Quran. It's not exactly a peaceful book, just like people could accuse the book that I read. The Old Testament is not being very peaceful. Now, the New Testament is more peaceful, and it has a happier ending, in my opinion. But if I read the Quran right, I'm the infidel. Luckily, not all Muslims obviously act upon those words, but there's some that definitely are literalists, just like there were literalists in the Bible when Jesus said it would be better to pluck your eye out than for your whole body to go to hell. And believe it or not, there were a lot of people through the ages that have plucked their eyeball out and took what Jesus said literal. And yes, some died from infection as a result of it. Not very cool. Yeah, you kind of need your eyes, but yeah, you can be a one-eyed, or is that something else? Anyways, this is very, very sad news, obviously, for any of us that live in this country to know that there were citizens on a beautiful day just enjoying New York City along the East River in Manhattan. Gorgeous piece of real estate. I used to live in New York City. My sister still does. Got family in New York City and New Jersey. I used to jog there. I know the area well, and it just, it hits you very, very hard. And even though I report on terrible stories, it seems like monthly, weekly, if something bad happening, it has an effect because it's very close to home. And I've heard of people here in the Tampa Bay area that lived in the complex where this idiot resided here, and they say they're weirded out, but it brings the story all so much closer. New York doesn't seem too far away. But yes, this could happen anywhere. And it happened yesterday, unfortunately, in New York City. Kids were killed. Adults were killed. Some of the injuries, I heard one individual at Bellevue Hospital had to have their legs amputated. They're going to live, but a lot of the injuries permanent. I mean, come on, you got a truck, thousands of pounds at 50 miles an hour. That's the speed. From what I understand, he hit him. Went on the bike trail, skipped off the road, got on, and for the life of me, I don't know why they did not have reinforcements to that bike trail where people can't do this. But Manhattan, especially near the World Trade Center, they're going to have to really rethink barricades. They're going to have to rethink what they can put in the ground. So this kind of thing can't happen because that's a soft target. And that's what ISIS is inspiring or asking people to do, is to take advantage of that. And it makes me nervous as a cyclist. But when I see, but here's the thing, I don't usually ride in the big bands of people that usually 20, 30, 40 people whizzing by on their bikes. I do the solo rounds. I encounter people along the ride. But I see a lot of cyclists all over the country, and that would be a pretty soft target because a lot of them ride on the road. You can mow down, 100 or more people on the highway, bada bing, bada boom, really, really quick. This is the sick behavior, folks, and this is a threat. This is going to be remaining a threat until we really address how these folks are able to get in below the radar. And if they're on the radar, how are they able to skip it? And I'll tell you a few theories that I have. It is a known fact, we've been reporting on it, that there is ongoing investigations in 50 states, thousands of investigations. There's only so many FBI agents out there. They can't keep an eye and an ear 24 hours a day on that many people that are in our country that are ISIS sympathizers. It's a known fact. Have traveled repeatedly to the Middle East, have visited these radical imams that have revved their engines up, have traveled back and forth, and that's what happens. And then when they get the call, they react. They do these things. They rent the truck. And this guy, he had a driver's license. He had a green card. I'm just kind of thinking here. I mean, I don't work for the FBI. I don't work for law enforcement, but if this guy's on their radar, like they said, then because of what he was affiliated with and what ISIS does, and if they felt this guy could be a threat someday, why don't they keep an eye on his whereabouts when he's renting a truck? Oh, they can't because they don't have enough agents. Oh, that's right. I just answered that, didn't I? Let me have some more coffee. By the way, that For the People coffee mug that I've been raving about, I swear the coffee tastes better in it. I don't know what it is. If you want one, pick it up at forthepeopleshow.com. Absolutely delicious. $20, $3.99 shipping and handling right to your door. It's an excellent deal. I'm upset. I am appalled. I am amazed how liberals can allow their sanctuary cities to allow people like this freak show, Sayfullo Saipov, in our country. This guy went through the diversity program, the visa program. It's kind of like a lottery. And comes over, from Afghanistan, where, folks, this is the breeding ground. Kakistan. This is where this comes from. This is the elements. This is why we have to vet. This is why we have to do a proper job. That's why Donald Trump says the things that he says. He doesn't say them to be hateful, doesn't say it to be racist. He says it to protect our citizens. And for those that visit the United States, that are our guests, and unfortunately, many that lost their lives yesterday were not U.S. citizens. They were our guests. They came in, and they're always welcome. My heart breaks for their families learning the news. How very sad. Because it could have been your family. You could have been in New York City cycling on the bike trail. It could have been you, could have been me. And what sad news that is. So you don't have to bring down a building to terrorize. And ISIS knows that. Soft targets. And this is more of this. And what I'm afraid is the holiday is right around the corner. You got Thanksgiving, but Christmas. And I feel like there's going to be more of this stuff. They're going to ratchet it up more because I believe they're kind of like hornets. You're trying to kill the things, they're going to start stinging you. That's my hypothesis. But unfortunately, that has become reality. And how we do a better job, it's going to take a collaboration between citizens, for those that are in Islam, that they cannot allow the radical version of Islam, if you will, that terrorizes, that does these kind of things allowed. If people feel that the person has reached that point where their behavior starts changing, and see the neighbors here in Tampa, Florida that knew him, people that talked to him said this was nothing like him. So something happened in that mosque in New Jersey. But the left said, "Oh no, we can't monitor the mosques. We can't. That's